On April 17, 1941, the front page layout of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette was such where two pictures competed for the first look of the reader. On the right was a picture of a young Carnegie Tech drama student smiling, standing inside the branches of a magnolia tree, and on the left was a picture capturing what was an intense moment in the gathering of the descendants of renowned industrialists of Western Pennsylvania, with a notable member of the Greek-American community, Mr. Theos E. Manos. Immediately below the picture, the prominent title of a short article competed with a number of other prominent news stories and reports of the day. The report under the picture of Mr. Manos and his colleagues in the April 17, 1941 issue is of great historic significance to the Greeks of Western Pennsylvania, and until August of this year, this remained obscure, if at all ever noted, since 1941, by Greeks or anyone else for that matter in this region. Dear friends, as the Greek community of Western Pennsylvania comes to close the celebration and commemoration of the bicentennial of the Greek Revolution, this story and its revelations, indeed its consequences, will now be revealed for the first time to this generation of Greeks in our area, as well as to Philhellenes in the area. The newspaper story reveals that in 1826, a group of industrialists, professionals, clergy in this region came together and formed a Greek Relief Committee to help the Greeks in their war of independence against the Turks. According to the report, these individuals assembled, inspired by the formation of the Philadelphia Greek Relief Committee in the same year. It is worth noting that Philadelphia was one of the major epicenters of American Philhellenes and Philhellenic activities, inspired by the stories of Greek heroism and sacrifice in their struggle for liberty, something passionately ingrained in the hearts of souls of Americans of that period. One such inspiration was provided inside the July 5, 1826 edition of the Pittsburgh Mercury, which quoted an editorial from the Baltimore Patriot. The Greeks have proved themselves worthy of the liberty for which they are struggling, and if they are successful, it will not be for the want of stout hearts and great soul. In that same edition of the Pittsburgh Mercury, a report on the slaughter of the Greeks at Missolonghi was also presented. The Pittsburgh Mercury, in fact, suggested to its readers and advocated that an identical Greek Relief Committee be created in Pittsburgh. A public meeting was consequently held at the Pittsburgh Courthouse on January 18, 1827, and committees were appointed to solicit clothes, provisions, and funds for the Greeks. Interestingly, one of the committees was asked to wait on the reverend clergy of the city and ask them to seek contributions from their organizations, as well as to accompany the application with appropriate remarks. The Pittsburgh Mercury reported that a Reverend Dr. Blackwell offered a sermon and collected funds for the Greek relief.
In 1941, Greek Americans came together to obtain funds, clothing, and provisions for their fellow brothers and sisters in war-ravaged Greece. The main organization, the Greek War Relief Association, which had a major presence and operation in Western Pennsylvania, included many non-Greek Americans. Some of these were descendants of the 1826 Greek Relief Committee members. These included Robert A. Blackwell, descended from the Dr. Reverend Blackwell, Thomas Bakewell, the Reverend Francis Heron, John McKee, and William Duff. Some of the 1826 Greek Relief Committee members are familiar to Pittsburgh historians in addition to residents of the area. For example, Donald C. Blackwell was the vice president of the Bloor-Knox Company, one of Western Pennsylvania's largest foundries. S. Davidson Heron was the assistant vice president of the Mellon Securities Corporation. C.S. McKee was a famous investment broker. William M. Duff was president of the Edward A. Woods Company, a large insurance company. In fact, the 1941 Greek Relief Committee elected Mr. Duff to be their chairperson on the 16th of April, 1941. Other names noted as members of the 1826 Greek Relief Committee include the Honorable William Wilkins, N.B. Craig, A.S.T. Mountain, B.R. Evans, Judge Shaler, Michael Allen, A. Way, Charles Brewer, William Bell Jr., Colonel John Ramsey, Robert T. Stewart, Isaac Leitner, Henry Holship, John McKee, William Eichbaum Jr., Dr. F. Gazan, Ross Wilkins, Alexander McCandless, William Robinson, William Pentland, George Darcy, John Wallace, Alexander Sample, J.D. Baird, Hugh McShane, Thomas Bakewell, T.L. Clark, Matthew B. Lowry, John M. Snowden, James Corrie, Samuel Robinson, Thomas Cooper, Robert Burke, and Samuel Kingston. If some of the names are familiar to Pittsburghers, they should be. Streets of Pittsburgh are named in honor of some of these individuals. For example, Craig, Heron, McKee, Wilkins, Pentland, Lowry. Suburban boroughs and municipalities such as Shaler, McCandless, Robinson. It is interesting to look at the history of these industrialists, professionals, clergy and leaders of America. Thomas Bakewell founded the famous and unsurpassed Bakewell Glass Company in 1807. It was famous in its day for its beautiful cut and engraved glass which equaled the finest European examples. The first American-made crystal chandelier was cut at Bakewell's in 1810. In 1817 a set of decanters and accompanying glasses, cut and engraved with the arms of the United States, was made for the White House on the order of President Monroe. When Lafayette visited America in 1824–1825, Bakewell presented him with glass works featuring him with a view of his home in France, with an American eagle emblem. George Darcy, an organizer of the Western Pennsylvania Historical Society, one of its first counselors, director of the Ohio and Pennsylvania Railroad, later the Pittsburgh, Fort Wayne, and Chicago Railroad, served as the company's treasurer 1856–1860, president of the Western Insurance Company, and member of the Allegheny Fire Company. A Whig, Darcy entered the State House of Representatives in 1837. Spearheaded the incorporation of the Pittsburgh and Connellsville Railroad 1838, elected Canal Commissioner after his final session in the House, State Senate 4 terms from 1842 through 1850 and 1853–1855, Senate Speaker 1848–1849, leader of Pittsburgh's conservative Henry Clay Whig caucus, the Old Hunkers. Henry Holship was a Western Pennsylvania oil pioneer and the son of successful paper manufacturer George W. Holship. After his retirement in 1886, Holship became an active patron of the arts in Pittsburgh. He was one of the incorporators of the Art Society of Pittsburgh and was a founder of the Pittsburgh Orchestra. John Snowden served as mayor of Pittsburgh between 1825–1828. He was born to a Revolutionary War family. His father, John Snowden, was a hero of the war, being imprisoned by the British forces and dying in their custody. His mother, Elizabeth Moore, was a major advisor to General Washington during his Pennsylvania campaigns. In 1811, Snowden began a printing and book business in Pittsburgh. He eventually bought and edited his own newspaper, the Pittsburgh Mercury. Like his predecessor as mayor, John Darrah, he used his appointment as president of the Bank of Pittsburgh to launch his mayoral candidacy. Colonel John Ramsey founded Ligonier. Initially, he called it Ramseytown, but a violent objection was raised to that name, and it was changed to Ligonier. Ramsey was anxious to adopt any name that would be popular, so that lots would sell more readily. 2 years before that, chance and fate combined defeated Napoleon Bonaparte on the field of Waterloo. Ramsey thought therefore that the most popular name of the day was Wellington, and it may not be generally known that the name was changed from Ramseytown to Wellington en route to the final name of Ligonier. Judge Charles Shaler was a judge of county courts, born in Connecticut in 1788 and educated at Yale. His father was one of the commissioners to lay off the Western Reserve in Ohio, and purchased a large tract of land, known as Shalersville, near Ravenna, Ohio. Charles Shaler was recorder of the Mayor's Court of Pittsburgh from 1818 to 1821. In 1824, he was commissioned Judge of Common Pleas. Occupied the bench 11 years, resigning May 4, 1835. He was appointed Associate Judge of the District Court of the County May 6, 1841, and held that office 3 years, resigning May 20, 1844. In 1853, he was appointed U.S. District Attorney for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Matthew B. Lowry was born in Edinburgh, Scotland, from where he emigrated with his parents to Pennsylvania. As a young man he came to Pittsburgh and started a thriving grocery business. Lowry was also active in religion, serving many years as a Sunday school teacher at the First Presbyterian Church. He was elected mayor of Pittsburgh in 1830 and is credited with modernizing the fire department. The city bought its very first steam-powered fire engine and named it the Citizen. Lowry was also instrumental in managing the city's rapid growth by adopting the ward system of governance for the first time in western Pennsylvania. His brother, Walter Lowry, served in the United States Senate, and his son, Walter H. Lowry, went on to become Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. William Pentland was Pittsburgh City Treasurer in 1836 and 1837. His son, Andrea, was a civil engineer and later assistant engineer surveying the Pittsburgh and Connellsville Railroad. T.L. Clark was a member of the American Railway Association, specifically a member of the Committee on Train Rules. Finally, William Eichbaum was a partner of the famous Kramer and Spear bookbinding company. He was a key investor in the Point Steam Mill Cracker Bakery and also partnered with McHenry in the foundry industry. He served as head of the city fire department, postmaster, treasurer, and served on city council for 22 years.
Dear friends, the American Hellenic Foundation of Western Pennsylvania continues to identify the remaining known members of the Greek Relief Committee of 1826 and to uncover others. The Foundation has also embarked on a project to reach out to their living descendants to inform them of their predecessors' contribution to the liberation of Greece and to thank them for those contributions at a time when America, seemingly peaceful in its newfound liberty, would soon become a bloody battleground, pitting brother against brother, imperiling a union built on Hellenic and Hellenizing ideals and virtues. Tomorrow evening, we will close our celebrations of the bicentennial of the Greek Revolution, where we will offer a tribute to our sister Romanian, Swiss, Italian, French, and English communities of Western Pennsylvania with presentations of the Philhellene women who supported the Greek struggle for independence. Tonight, we take the opportunity to thank all our partners and friends, and all our distinguished guests who came together to realize our tributes in the bicentennial celebration in March, July, and this weekend. We would like to close with the following inspirational words by Greece's Nobel laureate poet, George Seferis. My old friend, what are you looking for? After years abroad, you've come back with images you're nourished under foreign skies far from your country. I'm looking for my old garden. The trees come to my waist and the hills resemble terraces, yet as a child, I used to play on the grass under great shadows, and I would run for hours, breathless over the slopes. My old friend, rest. You'll get used to it little by little. Together we will climb the paths you once knew. We will sit together under the plane tree's dome. They'll come back to you little by little, your garden and your slopes. I'm looking for my old house, the tall windows darkened by ivy. I'm looking for the ancient column known to sailors. How can I get into this coop? The roof comes to my shoulders, and however far I look, I see men on their knees, as though saying their prayers. My old friend, don't you hear me? You'll get used to it little by little. Your house is the one you see, and soon friends and relatives will come knocking at the door to welcome you back tenderly.